Hey guys, I am back with another video on async and await in JavaScript. And this is a quite hot topic right nowadays. So let me just cover this topic also. So we are going to cover a couple of course content here. So yep. So the contents are a definition, code syntaxes, and the promise chaining versus async and await, pros and cons, and there's a one bonus I have put up for you guys, and how async and await keywords are working in a nutshell. It is basically in the V8 engine how they are working, and one question that I am going to put up with you guys. So let's see. So we are starting with the async keyword. So what is async keyword? Async keyword is an alias of asynchronous where it shows or where it refers asynchronicity of a API calls or of the requests. And async function, like if we go to the syntax of function, normal function gets started with a function keyword and the name of the function, but async function is going to be started with the async keyword. If you write this async keyword in between the name, then it will not gonna work. Either otherwise it will throw an error saying this, hey, you have placed it async keyword somewhere, or compile time error basically. So you have to write the async keyword before the function keyword gets start. So async function is a function which declared with the async keyword, right? Got it? The async functions are basically start with the async keyword. So async functions are the instances of the async function constructor. So constructor is a function which basically creates or generates an instance of any of the function, right? So async function is a type of constructor which basically generates a async functions, right? So don't be confused with the async and async keywords. Please make sure that you read this carefully. Async function is a different type of constructor available in the JavaScript from where we generate the async functions out of it, right? We generate the instances of it. This is how the instances are going to be instantiated. And the async and await keywords enable us asynchronous promise-based behavior. So whenever we place async and await keyword, we are going to see the await keyword, but I've just, for your knowledge, I've just put it here. Async and await keywords basically enables us asynchronous promise-based. Promise-based means, why they are saying promise-based, each and every value that it is going to return, it is going to be returned a promise based. So either if we are passing a one value, or if we are passing a string, like whatever kind of data type it has, it does not matter at all. It basically going to return a promise based, or promise, it is going to return a promise, because the whole function is going to be returned a promise, right? When we write a promise function, when we write a async function, sorry, so it is going to return a promise, right? Even though I didn't write the return keyword. This is the basically catch here. So that I've highlighted here. Just be make sure while answering all your question in the interviews. Async functions always return a promise. That is why it will always gonna return a promise, right? It avoids it avoids some of the promise chainings we are going to see in a later slides, right? Now we will come to the await keyword. So await keyword is basically, I am saying, as it shows that awaiting for something. So that is why we are awaiting for the asynchronous things to be happen at some point of time, and till the time it gets fulfilled, like till the time it gets fulfilled or rejected, till the time we are waiting, right? We are waiting till the time it gets fulfilled or rejected. So that is what I've said it here. Await expression, this is a definition available in the documentation in Amdian docs on internet. They said that await expression suspend the progress through an async function. So they are suspending the progress of the async function, by mean to say is it will execute the first line and it will hold till the time it get resolved or rejected, right? Then after it will go to the next line and will write. So this is kind of writing a piece of code, or it is running the piece of code in a line by line way or sequential way, basically, right? So, and yielding control and subsequently resuming the progress only when an awaited promise-based asynchronous operation is either fulfilled or rejected. So yielding control, it is basically under the hood, async and await are being implemented by the generator available in JavaScript. So these are implemented with the help of generators as well as promises. So traditional promises plus generators, they basically hold the flow of the control. So they basically resume the control flow of the async functions so that they can suspend the progress, right? And subsequently resuming the progress only when they are going to resume the process till the time uh, only when this is getting fulfilled or rejected, right? Please do read it carefully. That is why I've written this statement here. I've prepared this slide for that so that you can get understanding much better. Now we are going to see the syntax error, what it is going to return. So if we are not using the await keyword outside, like if we are not using the await keyword inside this async function, this is going to return an error saying this, hey, I've got a syntax error, will be thrown if await keyword is outside the async keyword, right? And there is a catch, which is await keyword must be used for the function which returns a promise. It it is going to be used for the promise based values. So if we are using a one value or a string value, that is going to be promise dot resolve value, right? For this understanding, for the compiler understanding. So this will await keyword will be always work with the promises. Right. So we'll go to the next promise. We are going to see the promise chaining, how we are doing the earlier, and how we can do it in async and await format. So earlier we were using the then and catch and finally methods in a chaining way, right? In promise chaining, you must have heard about it. If you haven't, please do check out my videos. I've come explained it much clearly how they works in chaining way. But in traditional way, we used to put up some API requests uh, sequentially in a sequential way, that first response is dependent on, or like for second request is dependent on the first response, and third or the final request is depending on the second request response. So this is how we were you like we were performing async activities for the multiple API calls in a sequential way. But in async and await keyword, now this is much easier to write a piece of code, because we were saying await do task. This is a task basically. So sorry for my mistake, I just noticed here. So this is a task one. So we are going to task one, and here we are going to task two, and we are going to do the task three. So we are going line by line here. We are not providing any callback function here as we used to provide here, right? This is a big benefit while debugging this piece of code inside the DevTools. This is a big benefit over there. Second thing is line by line execution is more readable and predictable code here instead of writing this way. The major difference between them is, like earlier we used to have a then catch and finally method, but here we are using the traditional try catch and finally method, right? And the result and response will be returned. This is how the comparisons are basically. This looks very nice to me. So the pros and cons are, some of the pros are like as I spoke about. This is a clean and precise code. As you can see, you have to write a one line code, and this do task is going to return a promise. I told you that in my first slide that any of the await keyword is, if I'm writing await keyword any before any function, it means function call, it means it is going to return a promise. Otherwise it will not wait for anything. Like if it is returning a value of a string type or number type, it is not going to basically wait that value. So await only works on with the promises, right? So error handling is easy. debugging is easy. I told you that line by line execution, you can debug that point. And the disadvantage with them is it is not supported in IE. For older browsers, you have to provide a transpilers like Babel, and so that they can compile that piece of code, and can be run with the older browsers also, like Firefox, Safari, and all other browsers, right? If we are using a transpiler, then there will be one more point, a nasty piece of code. If you see inside the transpiled code, this will look a nasty. There will be so many lines of code to just write this piece of code, so that the older browser can get understand, right? This is another disadvantage with this approach. And the main advantage, main thing behind the async and await is how this is going to run inside the V8. So I'm just going to highly like cover high overview here, that how it is working inside the async and await. Inside the sorry, async, how async and await keywords are being used or working inside the V8 engine. So let's say this is an example async function foo, and where we are waiting for v request, and the response will be returned, and then after the response will be returned from here, right? So what it does, like what v8 does in under the hood. So v8, first of all, it creates a promise to wrap this function, whole wrap this function. I told you is whenever we place a async keyword before the function, it will wrap that whole function inside a promise. That is why we are creating a promise, right? Second promise is being for the is for the value or the API call or database call, anything that we are going to resolve. For that, we are creating a second promise. First promise for whole, second promise for this one, right? This value, so that this can hold till the time it gets resolved, right? Third thing is performing that promise, the promise that we have created here, so that we can perform this promise until it is resolved or rejected, right? Third process is this one. Fourth is just to suspend this promise, so that it does not, the line of code of execution does not go to the next line. That is why we are holding that process. Through this step, we are holding that process. Hey, hold this, suspend this process till the time it gets resolved, right? That is what we are saying here. And now the when this gets resolved, the we are finally resolving this implicit promise that we have created, the whole wrapper function, with the response that we got from this request, right? This is how it works under the hood in the V8 engine, in the C++ language, right? I think you might have gone might have got some few knowledge about it. So I think that's pretty much from my side, but I'm gonna put up one question with you guys, and let me know what is the answer for this question. So the question is basically I'm using the async function with and all of them, but here I'm passing the value here, 5 value. This is an integer type. Here I am saying that promise.resolve method and with the value 5, and here I am using the await keyword with a promise.resolve and 5. What is the difference between all of them? That I am going to see in the comment section below. That's it, guys. Please do subscribe and like my video if you gain some knowledge from this video. And I'm going to cover a practical session video in a later video session, so that the practical implementation can be done separately. There I'll cover different scenarios based on the things that I'm having in my mind. Or if you are having anything in your mind, please do write me, so that I can cover in the later session of the videos. Thank you guys till the time. Bye bye.